Hey friends, welcome to the Creative Business Mindset. This is your backstage pass to the realities of turning your passion into profit. My name is Joke. I'll be your host. I'm a busy mom of 3, navigating the twists and turns of life and business. You'll get the good, the bad, and the glorious mess of starting afraid, the determination to keep going no matter what. Everyone knows you for that one thing. You know what I'm talking about. It's the thing that comes so naturally to you that you're happy to do it for free. That was me until I made 6 figures in my first year as a home stager. I've made so many mistakes so you don't have to. If this Nigerian girl can do it, you, my friend, can do it too. Let's go. Now listen, today's episode is one I've been looking forward to with all my heart. This guest is not just somebody I admire professionally. He's been my coach, my friend, and I call him a brother as well. I am talking about Steve Harris, the Steve Harris. Steve is one of Africa's most trusted voices in business coaching and personal transformation. Through his Mastering the Business of Your Talent workshop, he has helped entrepreneurs generate 17 million in just 6 weeks. Steve has been featured in Forbes, Yahoo Finance, The Economics. The receipts are endless. But what makes Steve different is that he doesn't just coach. He activates you and motivates you. His words move you. His belief in people is contagious. And I have personally been on the receiving end of his one-on-one coaching as well as his workshops. And I can tell you that there is life before Steve and then there is life after, period. So if you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or like there's more in you that the world hasn't seen yet, this episode is your invitation to lean in. Let's get into it. Steve, you're such a hard man to get. I've been chasing you for a while and finally I got you. So thank you for coming.
Well, first off, thank you for the very, very kind introduction. I was like, oh my God, that's me. Oh, wow. Kind of made me sound like a pretty big deal, but thank you. It's an honor to be here, Jockey, and can't wait to get started.
Yeah, Steve, you are a big deal. And I want to start by just inviting our audience to come on your journey a little bit. Tell us briefly, who is Steve and how did all of this start?
That's a pretty tough question. If I define myself by what I do currently, I would say that, I help experts and businesses increase their revenue by an average of about 400% within 45 days. That's the value proposition that I deliver to many of my clients. But beyond that, I would define myself as, for the lack of a better term, a transformer, an activator, someone who catalyzes you to discover what's inside of you and find your why. And then that why begins to drive you to exceed your perceived impossible. To be honest, I think that's the best definition for me. I'm someone who helps you exceed your perceived impossible. What you thought was impossible, I'm going to get you beyond that. Yeah, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a man of faith. I'm really good looking, so that works too. So I got all these things going on.
And you're very humble.
Most people would not say that. I mean, yeah, I think I am. Most people say that I'm cocky, but it works. It's not vanity if it's true. So.
Exactly. I love that. And you mentioned something that has become a buzzword in the world of business. This has become a buzzword, your why. You
Right.
said that, and I would like to expand on that a little bit more because this is being thrown around as it's like a fad, something new that people need to know. Can you get to the core of that? Why is it important to have your why? No pun intended.
Yeah. Your why is your compelling reason. You're either running from something or running towards something. And your why really is your compelling reason. And for me, I discovered that my why was to die empty. Now, like I mentioned, I'm a man of faith and me and Jesus are pretty cool once in a while. So one of the things that struck me in the scriptures that became a why for me was when I read The story of, I think Elisha was about to die, and he calls the king of Israel, and he says to him, he said, bring your tools, bring your bow and your arrow, and come, let me bless you. So he comes, Elisha's close to death. He tells him to open the window, and then he tells him, shoot. And then the king reaches for his quiver, reaches for his arrow, slings his bow, and then he fires. Then Elisha says, well, the Lord will do this. And he tells him, shoot again. And the king, long story short, shoots about 2 more times, and then he stops. And Elisha says, why did you stop at 3? You could have kept striking the ground 7, 8, 9 times, and you would have totally decimated your enemies. But now, because you only shot 3 times, you would only have the victory 3 times. And the next verse says, and Elisha died. And for me, I think that's so compelling, because when God gives you a vision and he tells you to shoot, you are limited by what you see. God doesn't tell you the end from the story. He doesn't tell you where this is going to end. He tells you, I have this in front of you. This is a blueprint of what your life could be. Here are the tools. Do something with it. Now you determine how far and how fast and where you stop. But I think that sometimes perhaps God sits in heaven and he's like, your life could have been this epic story, but now you're limited to just a trailer. And that's you. That's on you. That's not on God. So when I saw that, that created a desire in me to exhaust myself, to, I'm going to try. I'm not limited by shoulda, coulda, woulda. I'm going to do it. And because I'm afraid of realizing that I could have, shoulda, woulda, but I didn't because I was scared. I'm going to do it anyway. So that's my why. So everyone needs to find their compelling reason. For me now, my compelling reason beyond that is my wife and my daughter. I want them to have a name that opens doors. I want people to acknowledge them because of, by the grace of God, the good name that I leave as an inheritance to my family. So when they hear my name, my wife gets favors, my children get favors. That's my compelling why. So beyond the accolades, beyond the success, the awards, the business transformation, I want to leave a name that opens doors and guarantees legacy to my kids. That's my why.
Yeah, that's really good, because what I'm getting from this is that your why is what keeps driving you.
Yeah.
Instead of striking 3 times and giving up, if you have a why behind what you're doing, then it's going to be hard for you to give up, because you need to keep going and get to the point of that why, and it keeps driving you. I love that. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I learned from you is that clarity comes from execution.
Absolutely.
And starting messy is still starting. And
absolutely,
it is the only way that you get traction. And it comes with a mind shift. I remember being in your workshop, Mastering the Business of Your Talent. And I have said this to so many people, my friends, like, one of the things that I took away from that, and I think it was on our first day, it was a 6-week workshop, but on the first day, one thing that was very, very practical that you had everybody do is, one, you want to master the business of your talent. You want to command the price that you are worth. One of the ways is to get out of that mindset and go find the kind of people you want to work with. And right. The 2 things that you gave us as assignments were, 3 things. Okay, so either go to a 5-star hotel.
Yeah.
Go and get yourself lunch, dinner, even if it's just you, don't take anyone. If you have never been in that environment before, then it has set you on a different mindset, and you're going to start attracting that kind of people. And those are the kind of people you want to work with. It's like going on a first-class flight for the first time. Right. After you do that, you don't ever want to go back.
Absolutely.
You will do everything, which means you may need to work harder, earn more money, and you start thinking of those things in terms of it is achievable for you.
Yeah.
And that really helped. And you were like, well, if you're already driving a Mercedes, go to a dealership, go and drive a Ferrari, test drive that luxury car. We had breakout groups that I became one of the leaders of them. And it was just so amazing, because you have to go do that thing. Either you go test drive a luxury car that you didn't even think you could afford, go to a 5-star restaurant and get meal and bring the receipt. And I was collecting those receipts as evidence. Your way of teaching is very, very practical. So that was really good. One of the things that you're really, really good and amazing at is crafting your story and marketing language. And how, if you were to give somebody advice right now on getting clear on your message, what is the key or what are the key things that they need to think about, and give us examples? Because I know you come with those things like say this and that instead of this, say that. So
yeah, well, first off, again, thank you for the very kind words that you said previously. I recognize that a lot of entrepreneurs have a huge problem with positioning. I realize that a lot of entrepreneurs figure that if they raise their prices, they'll get higher ticket clients, and it doesn't work that way. In reality, your positioning determines your perception, and your perception determines your pricing. So I'm going to say that again for the people at the back, right? Your position determines your perception. Your perception then determines your pricing. I think some people figure that, well, if I put my pricing first, then the perception will change and then my positioning will go up. No, it's your positioning. How do you want to be perceived in the market? Where do you want to play? So, for example, like when you get on a flight, there's first class, there's business class, and there's economy, right? You are all going to get to the same destination, but the experience or the story that has been told regarding first class, business class, and economy is different. What I mean by that is you've got to recognize that when you're marketing, you can't market the same way to different clients. Each different niche has a different messaging, right? So, for example, if you're flying first or business class, the messaging, the story that has been told to you is that you're not paying for transportation in first class or business class. You're told the story that you are a one percenter and you are the upper echelon, and people like you have to travel in style. So you would pay perhaps twice, three times as much, probably even more than economy, simply because of the positioning and the perception that it creates. And you pay top dollar. So if you see, positioning comes first, perception comes next, pricing comes last. The people in economy, respectfully to them, are paying for transportation. They're paying to get to their destination at the cheapest price possible, right? So comfort really isn't about it. It's just much more about, you know what, hey, stick it out. You're going to get to your destination. Now, here's the point. On that same plane, everyone's going to have a different experience, right? And so that's what perception management is all about. What is the experience that we are creating for our dream clientele, the one percenters? The 10 percenters have a different messaging. If you're selling to the 90%, what you're selling or what they're buying is a commodity. If you're selling to the 10%, what they're buying is an accessory, an extension of how they perceive themselves. If you're selling to the 1%, they are buying exclusivity and scarcity. So here's the problem. If you sell exclusivity and scarcity to the 10%er, they're not going to buy. If you sell commodity to the 1%er, they're not going to buy. If you sell exclusivity to the 90%er, they're not going to buy. Every market has its different messaging, but it is first driven by the positioning and then creating a type of perception and then layering pricing on top of that. So that's just a short example of positioning. I hope that helps.
that is very helpful. There's the why, there's the
Yes.
positioning of you as the value provider. How do you identify who your client is? We've also heard all the buzzwords like the client avatar and all the
Right.
things and all the things. How do you identify who you're going to serve or your niche and hone in on that? Okay, so for example, people have multiple talents, and
Right.
a lot of people go out wanting to provide services based on what they enjoy doing, which is a wonderful thing because you can make more money if you actually love what you're doing. But the thing is, coming from the perspective of, I want to share this thing that I love with you versus this is something that you want that I want to provide to you because it's valuable to you, not because it's something that I just enjoy. How do you help people go around that kind of mindset to make sure that they are positioned, one, to attract the right people and to find out what value those people want? Because business is all about providing solutions to problems, right?
Yeah. Well, What I'd say is really that whether you are passionate about it or not, whether you love it or not, you've got to do it like you love it. You got to do it like you're passionate first. Nobody really wants to buy from a wet blanket. They want to feel like you are enthused. Now, yes, it will be great to find what you were born to do and you love to do it and then extend that as a business. That's great. But we recognize that perhaps over 90% of the people who perhaps are listening haven't yet found what they love and are probably just coasting with what they currently do. But you've got to bring heart and soul into that. Now, when it comes to how you begin to identify the clients you really want to serve, I always say first, if you want to attract what we call, your dream clients or your premium clients, you've got to recognize, like I've said before, they respond to different messaging. The 1% respond to exclusivity. So what that means, as an example, is you can't do business with every Tom, Dick, and I'm not going to say Harry because I use my name in vain. You know what I'm saying? So my name is Steve Harris, so Harry's out of it, right? But my point really is this: exclusivity is about exclusion. I'm going to say that again. Exclusivity is about exclusion. Exclusivity is about disqualification. Exclusivity is about pre-qualification. So if, for example, you want to target your dream demographic, the 1%er, so to speak, you must have a system that disqualifies the 90%. Now, that's pretty hard for many entrepreneurs to do because they're like, well, aren't I leaving money on the table? If I'm going to serve this particular niche, aren't I leaving money on the table? Yes, you are, but you are perceived as exclusive. So what happens is the 90% aspire to that level. Let's still stay with, flying. First class never reduces their prices for economy class. They'll never drop their prices. Now, we have something for the 90%. Oh, that's economy. Great. But if you're coming first class, there's an exclusion. There's a limited number of seats first. We're going to disqualify you. That it's priced at 3 times the cost of the average flight. We're going to disqualify you, right? And they have these ways of whittling. Now, because they're determined to exclude, to disqualify, and to pre-qualify, what happens, it creates a sense of FOMO, a fear of missing out, because now they perceive that, oh my goodness, if I'm flying economy, I just get some peanuts, or I fly, or probably just get little packs, pre-packed food. But with first class, there's a menu, they're serving you. Would you like drinks? Would you like oysters? Would you like caviar? Would you like red wine, white wine? But at economy, they just give you Coke, tea, coffee, soda, or water. Choose, that's it. There's no choice. Now, what happens is that becomes an aspiration to those who begin to say, well, you know what, I need to move closer. So my point first off is you've got to answer the question, who do I not want to serve? Who don't I want to do business with? I don't want to do business with every Tom, Dick, and you know what. So who don't I want to do business with? Let's start from there, because I think that too many entrepreneurs want to do business with everyone. As long as you have money, as long as you have blood, you're my client. No, if you want to be attractive to a higher niche market and attract dream clients, you've got to now say, you know what is my pre-qualification process? What is my disqualification process? What is my exclusion process? How do we make sure that getting this thing is like going through the eye of the proverbial needle? Because it's a limited number of people. But I think that not many entrepreneurs are ready for that conversation. So they're just going to try to serve everyone. If you serve everyone respectfully, you then become a commodity. Do you get what I mean? So you're easily replaceable. If I don't buy from you, I'm going to buy from the guy next door. I lose nothing. So when you think about your marketing, your messaging, you've got to answer the question, what should people lose if they don't do business with me, right? I know we talk about what you're going to gain. Yeah, that's easy. Let's talk about the complex one. What do people lose if they don't do business with you? If they don't buy from you, what should they lose? If you can't articulate that as your value prop, then it becomes hard to really describe how you're not a commodity. So we got to do that different.
Yeah, some nuggets of wisdom like I was expecting. I am in the home staging industry. I do home staging as a real estate marketing service to realtors and to homeowners. And I also coach people how to start their own business and scale their business based on what I know. And over time, I have come to a place in the home staging industry where people know us for high quality work. We charge a little more than our competitors. And because of that, I have lost clients. When you
Right.
say lose clients, I'm guessing that is what you meant by the disqualification part and
Absolutely.
exclusivity. And they always come to me when they have the big, nice
Absolutely.
luxury homes that they don't want anyone else to touch, but they will work with other stagers. There's so much competition, right?
Yeah.
But they know where to come to if they are looking for that next level,
Yeah.
high end stage.
Yeah.
And I am not mad at that. If they're not giving me all their business, but they bring the big ones to me, I am happy with that. But the thing is that it took me a long time to get to that point. Like you said, when we start out our business, a lot of people just want to take everything and anything because you're just starting and you're afraid you don't know where the business is going to come from. What I'm hearing you say is that you can actually start that elimination disqualification process. How do you even do that? Because there's already that fear of I'm just starting out, nobody's going to hire me, I don't even know where to find clients. Anything that comes to me, I'd better take it because any money is good. That is where a lot of people get stuck. And I had that problem as well. So if you're coming in new, what are the things that you can actually start doing to change your mindset around that, to qualify, disqualify, and position yourself in the right way?
What I'd say to that is, I think a lot of entrepreneurs make this mistake. They choose short-term profits over a long-term brand. Now, the thing is, with every transaction, you are reinforcing what your brand is. With every transaction you're doing, it's becoming muscle memory. It's like it starts initially like cobwebs that are really thin and fine. And before you know it, it becomes like ribbons. And before you know it, it becomes like chains. So your brand initially starts like cobwebs. It's very fickle, very thin. Any little thing can crack it. But with consistency, maybe the texture becomes like a ribbon. You can't really break it apart, but it's still a little bit fragile. And after a while, it becomes like a chain. It's institutionalized. Now, when I say that many entrepreneurs choose short-term profits over long-term brand visibility or brand building, it's because what they're doing is, let me just get anything. Let me just work. Let me just get any job. And before you know it, you become commoditized. So if you've built a brand of consistently serving the 90%, give an example. So I'm trying to figure out the right brands. So let's just say in the UK, as an example, we've got like Primark. Primark is a relatively discounted store. Now, if Primark begins to change and say, you know what, Primark wants to sell to the one percenters, do you think that people are going to buy from Primark? No.
Yeah.
Why? Because Primark has a brand of selling discounts off the rack, really, really affordable products, as an example. If Walmart decided tomorrow that because they've got this retail chain and massive size, you know what, tomorrow we want to do like the Walmart XX, and they're only selling to the one percenters, they're not going to be able to pull it off because Walmart has been associated with discounts and all this stuff, easy breezy pricing, right? Now, so what I'm saying is too many entrepreneurs are doing that. So you've got to be able to say first off, and I know it's easier said than done, but when you're thinking about brand visibility and when you're thinking about brand longevity, if you're thinking about institutionalizing, what is it that people are going to say about me and my business? You've got to start very deliberately. But that's how positioning goes. So there's a scripture that says, my sheep hear my voice, and the voice of a stranger they will not obey. I like to reposition that to say, my desired clients hear my brand messaging and my marketing, and the voice of a competitor they will not obey. What I mean by that, I mean that my sheep will hear my voice. Deep calls to deep. There's a language for up and coming. There's called discounts. It's called payment plan. That's the language of the 90%. The language of the 1% is whatchamacallem, authentic. It is exclusive. It is antique. It is rare. It is singular. Those are the languages that they use. So when you're curating your experience, this is where perception management comes in. They're not going to, you're going to have to curate an experience for them that is outside the norm. all of that takes a little bit of intentionality. And I think sometimes that's why most entrepreneurs are like, you know what, all of this work is just too much. Let me just kukuma be serving my regular clients and not bother too much. But again, it is what you want.
Yeah, you know what? This is what you're about. Like, don't play small because there is room for everyone. You
Yeah.
can serve the 90%, you can serve the 1%, you can serve the 10%,
Right.
totally where you want to be. But if you're going to go beyond the small, these are all the things that you will need to think and do because there's also that thing of, okay, there's cash flow.
Yeah.
What do I pander to? Something small is coming to me. I'm going to do it because I have cash flow. I just need to do that. And that's human and that's okay. But the idea is that your branding and your messaging needs to be consistent so that you know that who you're serving. Like I said, it took me a while to get there. And there are still times when I'm like, you know what? Okay, maybe I have time. I can serve that person, but I know my market knows me, and it's going to come to depending on what they're looking for. In a very short time, you have given us a lot of nuggets, but I'm not going to let you go without one advice that you would give to somebody who is right now feeling like the thing that I hear a lot is, I am not ready, or I don't have what it takes, or this or that. Limiting beliefs and things that are holding you back, from starting. People are afraid of, will it work? Will it not work? What will you say to that person? Because you are good at giving people that kick in the rear, like not just the strategy and the structure and everything. You're also like, you need to get it done. So what advice would you leave with somebody who is just maybe dabbling, want to, shoulda, woulda, coulda? What will you say to them?
Will you please fail? Will you please fail? Fail. Do it. You're going to suck. You're going to make mistakes. Do it. Now, once you've failed, now you have proof of, okay, so what's the worst that can happen? It's already happened. I failed already. You know what? We can only go up from here. And the truth is, while you're vacillating and you're procrastinating, and some people are caught up in analysis paralysis and they're trying to get perfect and dot their I's and cross their T's and they're majoring on the minors.
Majoring in the minors. Okay, stop there right now. Majoring in the minors. Okay, talk a little bit more about what you mean by that, because that resonates with me.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is true. So as an example, maybe you know that you're supposed to launch your new product, launch your new Shopify or website or whatever the case may be. The fear of launching because you're afraid, because if I launch, nobody's going to buy, or how people are going to receive it. So you start majoring on the minors. You start tweaking the colors of the website. Oh, I don't think it's this blue. Let me do its purple. Then you start changing the fonts. There's motion, but there's no movements. It's like you're on a treadmill. There's activity, but you're going nowhere. You know what I mean? So you're using that to buy time. You're majoring on the minors because you're afraid of what you should actually get done, which is launch the flipping website. It's live. Ladies and gentlemen, go. But you're like, no, let it just be perfect. Oh, let me just do this. So you start procrastinating, and your quest for perfection is procrastination in disguise. And your procrastination is because you're afraid. So will you please fail? Just fail. Get it over with. Get it done, right? Figure out what the cost of doing it that won't kill you. Fail. Because one of the things I've recognized, Joke, is there is someone out there who has 1% of the gifting, the talent, and the ability that perhaps our listeners have, but they have more hunger. And because that person has more hunger, he will kick the crap out of you. That person will win 10 times out of you, better than you. And you would argue, he's not better than me. True, he's hungrier than you. She's not better than me. You're right. She's just hungrier than you. She's come to the point where, you know what? This is it. I don't care what people think or feel. I'm just going to get it done. But by doing and hitting and missing and hitting and missing, they're already succeeding. You know what I'm saying? It's like playing a game of football and you have like Premiership. You've got like 38 games for the season. You will win some, you will lose some, you will draw. Are you playing the game? Yes. Meanwhile, some people are sitting at home watching the entire game. Can you please fail? Fail. Get it over with. Hit the rock bottom. Launch that thing. Let it suck. It sucked. Okay, you know what? Okay, once it sucked, we can now get feedback, because failure is feedback, okay? Failure is the market telling you, not this way, not like that. Tweak it like this. Can I give you a real example respectfully?
Yes, please.
Right. I remember, one of the things I'm really passionate about, as you know, is I love coaching, particularly single women, particularly even Christian single women, and just teaching them how to position themselves to find their husbands and stuff like that. Right. So a couple of years ago, I would go on Instagram and I had this thing called Love University. And I would teach and I would come out there and share with ladies because I realized that, good girls don't know how to get guys. You know what I mean? Bad girls can get married and get guys, but good Christian girls, they don't have game. No. So I'd come out and teach. And I was talking about really, me, I try to keep it 100. So I was talking about really practical things. I wasn't going to talk from the perspective of, abstinence and chastity. There are other people who's that's their message and that's fine. I was talking to the lady who was like, look, you guys have hooked up. He didn't call you. What should you do? Or you guys have hooked up a bunch of times. He doesn't want to commit. What do you do? So I was having those kinds of conversations online and I was averaging maybe 1,000 views, 1,000, women would come and be asking lots of questions. And then I had this like eureka moment. Okay, you know what? Why don't I put them in some sort of community and start coaching them and giving them some sort of guidance in my own mentoring space? So I created a funnel. Long story short, we had about 800 odd women in this Facebook group. We called it Love University back in the day. And I was coaching these women, pouring out my heart for about 6 months, just guiding them and repositioning. And one day I thought about it because, again, at first off, I am altruistic. So I tend to think about how do I add value beyond first, how do I get your money, right? So I was adding that value, give, the whole 9 yards. And I didn't realize that I had trained my audience not to buy. I thought about it. I was like, oh, you know what? Hey, ladies, I've got this thing. It's going to be really beneficial. I can't remember how much, maybe $20 or something ridiculous like that. Here you go, buy. And I was sitting back and I was expecting to hear ching, 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 chings, especially because I've poured out my heart. I was thinking about the law of reciprocity. I've been great to these women. The least they can do is reward me in kind and so on and so forth. So I was waiting for my bank to start calling me and say, what's going on? We need to freeze your account. There's too much money, right? Long story short, Joke, literally nobody bought. Nobody out of 800 odd women. Now, I thought about it. I was like, okay, wait, hold on. Maybe the ladies were just chatting too much. Or maybe they didn't see the comments. So I muted everybody's comments and only admins could post. So I posted it again. I said, hey, ladies, I know you probably missed this because conversation is great. Just to let you know, we've got this thing out there. It's really going to bless you. It's 20 quid, yada, yada, yada. Sign up and buy. It's really going to be a blessing to you. Okay, again, nobody bought.
Wow.
I was hurt. I was in pain. Like I just gave 6 months of my life to these women. No wonder you're single. In fact, I was mad, right? So I was so hurt. I couldn't talk in that group for a while. Uncle Steve, where's Uncle Steve? Who's your uncle? I beg, leave me alone. Who's your uncle? I beg, I beg, I beg, I beg. So long story short, my heart was hurt from that instance that I could no longer proceed with the community. So after I had ruminated and stewed in my own juice for a while, I now said to myself, okay, you know what? What's the market telling me? Let me be objective. I sat back and I figured out a few things. And I realized, first off, Joke, that the age of the ladies in that community, the average age was 23. A 23-year-old doesn't have the problem of I can't get a man. The problem is which man should it be? Because I have too much demand, right? So there was no urgency. There was no respectfully desperation. Allow me to use that term. Right? They weren't hungry for what I wanted. I was passionate to serve them. They weren't passionate for what it was. It was at best great information, great conversation, but there was no desperation. So when I sat back, I thought about it again. And maybe 2 years later, I launched again, or 3 years later, I launched it again. And I called it Ifemi, for those who don't speak the language. It's Yoruba, one of Nigeria's languages, and it means my beloved, the one I love and stuff like that. And long story short, Joke, this time I targeted respectfully women who are what we might call mature singles, right? 35 and above. Women who, and I was very clear in my marketing, in my brain, women who were like, I'm getting older. I'm considering freezing my eggs. I'm considering being a single mom. I'm considering being a side chick. Those thoughts have come through my mind. I am actively beginning to pursue this as an option. For that woman, I said, this is what you need. Long story short, Joke, maybe over the last 2 odd years, I've coached over 600 women through that. Price points is pretty high, right? But here's the best part about it. Many of those women are either in marital relationships now, engagements galore, or relationships that are kicking off. And of course, there's a large number of those who have not yet found him, but they're on that process. Now, what's my point? I failed. It didn't work the first time. It didn't work a bunch of times. But when I sat back and I asked, what's the market telling me through this failure? I realized what the answers were. And I repositioned it again to respectfully, and please, I use this word respectfully, to a desperate market. And because what I was providing was water to a woman in the desert, there was no money that was too high. That's what she wanted. And she got it. She got what she wanted. I got what I wanted. It was a win-win. So our customers need to do the same.
Yeah. So fail, fail, fail. And there is your answer. Thank you for candidly sharing that, the failure that got you to know your market and then rebrand. I remember you and I had a one-on-one a couple of years or maybe ago. I was in the same boat of I have this thing where I mentor people in the industry. People just call me, they find me online or in groups that I belong to, and they call me and I coach them and I mentor them and I help them go through processes and go through problems, answer their questions. And they're doing amazing things with what I'm teaching them and with what I'm coaching them. And then when I try to turn this thing into a business, it's crickets.
Yeah, absolutely.
You told me, you know what? You need to find your people. What kind of problem? And so now I'm like, I'm done giving stuff away for free. I offer that, discovery call. If you need it, like 15 minutes of my time, you have it for free. But beyond that, you have to have some skin in the game because people don't value what they don't pay for. And just finding that the people that I really want to work with are action takers.
Absolutely.
So if you're not ready to take action, you're not even going to be ready to pay for, the knowledge that you're going to get. But I don't mind serving 10 people. I don't serve 100 people, but I want people that I can actually make some transformation, see some transformation and help them really.
Absolutely.
Steve, I could talk to you all day long.
Same here. Absolutely.
But
like a house on fire.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so, so much. This has been enlightening. And for anyone who wants to follow work with Steve, you can find him on Instagram.
I am Steve Harris.
I am Steve Harris on Instagram. You'll find him on, just type in Steve Harris Coach and you'll find him. Steve, it's been amazing. You have been a big part of my life and my business, and I appreciate you, bro.
Thank you. I'm really kind to hear that. You're no slouch. You're an incredibly hard worker. You work with tremendous excellence. You've got great experience in the industry. You're only doing great, and I expect you to do way better. So,
oh my God, the pressure is on. That's the thing. If you get with Steve, you are going to think beyond anything that you've ever done before, because no matter what you're doing, you can always do better. That is a growth mindset. And on that note, go and keep doing all the things. If you've been sitting on the fence about what you want to do, how you want to do it, just know that you're ready to go and fail and do better and just keep moving. The only way to do it is to start. You've been listening to the Creative Business Mindset podcast. Remember to share, like, and subscribe. Thank you for listening and keep doing all the things. Until next time.